Rare view of Chris. Yeah, it is a rare view. Chris's forehead. Oops. Indeed. Goodness me. Sup. Hello. Oh my god. It is my bro Chris. Hello. Love the hair. Thank you. It wasn't meant to be up like that. I've sorted it now. Rare view of Chris. I think there's probably TikToks where I have my hair cut up like that. I don't know, actually. Probably have to scroll down. Yeah, there's TikToks where I have my hair like that. Look, there's an old TikTok with my hair like this. That's definitely a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely prefer YouTube streaming. I think it's just the hope that it brings people over. Also, I've accidentally got an extra capital in TikTok takeover. Hair up like that is a good look for you. I don't like having my hair up. I much prefer having it down. I think it looks much better. I've also accidentally deleted all my Streamlabs presets, which isn't great. I kind of want to get those back. But Destiny demonetized, Trump to designate trans people as extremists, and the TikTok takeover. There's no mistakes in there. TikTok chat is poison. God, yeah, I know. The amount of people I must have banned on TikTok is unbelievable. I must have, like, genuinely over 400 people banned, I think. No, well in excess of that. I want to actually check. I wonder if you can see. I know I can see, but I don't think it just tells you, like, straight up, oh, you have X amount of people banned. Let me actually have a look. Just so many extremists on there. Hey Chris, hello Massa. Welcome to the YouTube. Welcome to all you first timers over from TikTok. If you're also I think if this is your first time, I may be having Isabel on later. I'm not 100% sure, and we haven't really planned it. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. There's some Ethan Klein drama. Of course there is. Hi, everyone. Hello. Oh, Biden in the description. Fuck. Thank you. I just need to... I think the Bron on TikTok was the Matan Evans kid, Israeli internet troll. No, that's not Matan Evans. That definitely wasn't Matan Evans. It was like a really young child. Matan Evans is like 20 plus, at least. Ooh. Nice work on Bad Hasbara. Oh yeah, did people enjoy Bad Hasbara? I need to post about that and say that I was on there. Is Biden looking better? Biden is, of course, looking better. But now Destiny has been demonetized, so... Yeah, I mean, also, Hassan next, probably, and I'm a bit more fussed about that happening to Hassan. Just put Baidi's nuts in this description. Hello, Chris, I was watching you on Bad Hasbara episode. Don't know whether to watch that or this stream. Watch this stream and then that later. Makes me want to go all fuppy. Maybe it's just my earbuds. What's just your earbuds? Me and you then. Nice work on Bad Hasbara. Yes. I'm halfway through the episode. So awesome. They had you on. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a fun episode as well. We spoke about going floppy, which I thought you'd all enjoy. I think Hassan will just end up leaving America. I genuinely do. Or maybe he'll stay and try and fight for change. But ultimately, I think they're going to kick Hassan out. And it's so funny. Like, I know that Ethan Klein is sat there today like, Hassan wanted this. And it's like, no, Ethan, you are the one who wanted this. You are the one who continually advocated for for Hassan to be taken off social media for advocating violence against Jewish people in your sick and perverse mind. But, you know. Like, yeah, look at Ethan's stories today. This coward wants us to forget he criticized Kamala more than Trump in the lead up and refused to endorse her. You have no right to complain. You let it happen. Fuck you. Also, by the way, blaming Hassan Piker rather than the disastrous policies of Kamala Harris herself and the Democratic Party is just an indication of how much Ethan cares about politics. He doesn't. He doesn't care about it. Hassan's going to come to the UK and we're going to live together. That's my breaking update for you. He can't go to Turkey. Yeah, he's coming to the UK to live with me forever. Imagine thinking Hassan single-handedly, but that's because he doesn't care about it. No wars ended, cost of living still high, economy imploding, unlimited money to Israel, Trump's in Epstein files, workers getting kidnapped everywhere. At least he banned trans athletes, at least he's cancelling Kimmel. You're an easily tricked adult and a fucking loser. I don't think people are tricked. I think people voted. And I think at some point you have to reckon with the fact of, yeah, maybe some people got tricked, but the vast majority of people wanted this kind of shit. Maybe they bought into Trump will make things better. But ultimately, even a lot of those people are very nihilistic about it all and think, Trump's not actually going to make things better, but I think he's cooler than Kamala because he'll punish people. And I think that that's something that Democrats and leftists needs to reckon with.
We're in charge right now would be doing 100% the exact same thing, 1-to-1. Make no fucking mistake. Anyone who tries to tell you that Kamala Harris will be different is a fucking delusion.
How does Hassan get it so that he can shout into his mic and there's no consequence from it? Because I'd like that.
No, moron. Do not listen to them. Democrats, if they were in charge right now, would be...
He was also talking about bombing Iran, by the way. But of course this doesn't matter to Ethan. Who cares? And then he posted this. The new VOD is up and it is getting rave reviews.
Doing 100...
Ethan, you are the one who wanted this. Ethan, you are the one who continually has tried to deplatform people, sue them. He has manly deep voice filter. It's Chinese tech. I knew it. Greetings to Chris and chat. Game over to apartheid Zionism. Yes. Nobody likes you, big dog. No one likes Ethan. I have a video about Ethan that I might do, but I don't know. Yeah, he was talking about foreign policy. Yeah, 100%. But like the Democrats cracked down on freedom of speech and protest and did nothing about it, all in the name of just enabling Israel to do unlimited genocide, you know. They allowed the crackdowns on campuses. They were the ones who created this, who enabled and furthered this environment, so yeah. Oh, actually... Tony Soprano Lover sent me a great TikTok that's probably worth watching here. There's also a TikTok I really want to watch but I can't. Because it has collarbone. I don't actually know what the song's called. But it's a Charlie Kirk ship with Dean Withers. You can read the subtitles. Shall I sing it in lieu? It doesn't really work without the music, but it's a banging ship and edit. Hamas Piker is not in danger. I think he very much is. You might need to. I was about to thirst over Hassan. Please don't talk about Hassan. as well, but at the end of the day, it's just a bitter YouTubers not keeping up with the zeitgeist, and those guys are a dime a dozen. Yeah, I think 100%. No, I had to mute that video. That video was intentionally muted. This was the video that I saw that was very based. Oh, wrong video.
The reason why we are constantly under... Look, I don't care if you agree with me or not. The reason why we are constantly under threat from groups like the Groypers is because we lied about Columbine. We were not honest about the motivations behind that shooting. We created a mythology that shooting was about anti-Christian sentiment and bullying, when in fact, it was because the shooters were radicalized into far-right extremists and loved the Nazis, loved the ideology behind the Nazis, and wrote about that. They wrote about how much they loved the Nazis. They wrote about how much they loved the swastika. They wrote about how much they loved the Iron Cross.
I don't know anything about whether that's true, but I know that there's an extreme element of racism to it.
And because of their love of the Nazis, they dehumanize.
Hasn't the Robert Redford music got music on it?
The students at their school. They no longer saw them as humans equal in value to them, but rather as NPCs that they wanted to use as target practice. And again, they wrote about this. Because white supremacy demands to be seen as perfect and as pure. And
this is Columbine. Was Columbine the first? It wasn't the first school shooting, but it was like the first major one.
Never at fault. Those that worship at the altar of white supremacy diverted us away from the truth and instead pushed the youth into church, flooded the zone with anti-bullying campaigns.
To be honest, I don't doubt 100% that they were racist. I feel like I've heard something to do with them attacking a black kid.
And said, job done. And then for the next 25 to 30 years, that generation, the 90s babies, the millennials, and the Gen Zers, suffered under the threat of school shootings every single day. The motivations behind those shootings never changed. Never changed since the 90s. And yet every time a shooting happens, the question of whether or not the shooter was bullied continues to come up. The question of...
The only thing I do have to say on this is, do you think that this is as much of a thing now to do with whether we discuss the shooter in terms of like bullying anymore, or do you think it's been too consumed by just trying to call everyone trans? I think she talks about it later.
Whether or not anybody addressed his mental health still comes up, and there's nothing wrong with that. But every single time, after we ask those questions, it is revealed that those kids were radicalized into extreme far-right ideologies. And we're still not addressing that. The new diversion is twofold. The conservatives are blaming the left, and then the moderates and the liberals are qualifying their statements in the name of civility. The issue is far-right extremism. The victim just happened to be part of the pipeline that leads to the perpetrator. But it's all far-right extremism. And that is the reason why the events that occurred a few days ago occurred. The victim was just part of the pipeline that led to the perpetrator. Until we deal with far-right extremism and the radicalization of our young men into far-right extremism, this will continue happening, and the union will not survive it. Look, I don't...
Yeah, there was actually a reason I moved this, which is this comment here. This is someone who says that they're a survivor of Columbine. I can tell you as a Columbine graduate and shooting survivor that the way they blamed us for the shooting was wild. If only we had been nicer, then maybe our friends would have survived. We were told not to make it political at every turn by every adult except for a small handful. We were promised mental health support that never existed and not allowed to doodle in our notebooks because it might be gang related. We have learned nothing. I mean, it's a great video, and I think that there's a great point to be made there about what she's talking about, and in terms of like, I think if you're just talking about US gun culture and never being willing to deal with it, and never to deal with the way in which people are just moving towards extremist politics, particularly extremist far-right politics, even the recent shooter, what was the... The recent one at Minneapolis. Like, Minneapolis school attacker obsessed with idea of killing children. Thank you, BBC, you are my best friend. Investigators say that the attacker who opened fire on pupils as they were praying at a church in Minneapolis was obsessed with the idea of killing students. Robin Westman, who killed 2 children and injured 18 others, did not seem to have any specific motive, according to police chief Brian O'Hara. The attacker appeared to hate all of us. Does the Robert Redford thing have music on? Because that's the only thing I need to check. I just closed TikTok, but I will look at that in a second. I just want to go through this quickly.
Trump when he stands behind that Oval Office. Retire before it starts.
Which I cannot stop. Why is it not letting me fucking stop the clip? Yeah, it has music. Sorry, something is wrong with the server, I'm being told. This article from Parkland survivor. Tried to befriend Nicola Cruz. He still killed my friends. It has music on. It has mask off. This is a really interesting one. My first interaction with Nicholas Cruz happened when I was in 7th grade. I was eating lunch with my friends, most likely discussing One Direction, when I felt a sudden pain in my lower back. The force of the blow knocked the wind out of my 90-pound body. Tears stung my eyes. I turned around and saw him smirking. I had never seen this boy before, but I would never forget his face. His eyes were lit up with a sick, twisted joy. The apple that he had thrown at my back rolled slowly along the tiled floor. A cafeteria aide rushed over to ask me if I was okay. I don't remember if Mr. Cruz was confronted over his actions, but in my 12-year-old naivete, I trusted that the adults around me would take care of the situation. 5 years later, hiding in a dark closet inside Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, I would discover just how wrong I was. I am not writing this piece to malign Nicholas Cruz any more than he already has been. I have faith that history will condemn him for his crimes. I am writing this because of the disturbing number of comments I've read that go sometimes like this. Maybe if Mr. Cruz's classmates and peers had been a little nicer to him, the shooting at Stoneman Douglas would not have occurred. This deeply dangerous sentiment expressed under the hashtag walk up not out hashtag implies that acts of school violence can be prevented if students befriend disturbed and potentially dangerous classmates. It's also so crazy because it's very clear as to what would fix this, which is in terms of them having guns. This deeply dangerous sentiment expressed on... here we go. The idea that we are to blame, even implicitly, for the murders of our friends and teachers is a slap in the face to all Stoneman Douglas victims and survivors. A year after I was assaulted by Mr. Cruz, I was assigned to tutor him through my school's peer counselling program. Being a peer counsellor was the first real responsibility I had ever had, my first glimpse of adulthood, and I took it very seriously. Despite my discomfort, I sat down with him. I was forced to endure his cursing me out and ogling my chest until the hour-long session ended. When I was done, I felt a surge of pride for having organised his binder and helped him with his homework. Looking back, I am horrified. I now understand that I was left unassisted with a student who had a known history of rage and brutality. Like many pre-teenage and teenage girls, I possessed, and still to an extent possess, a strong desire to please. I strive to win the praise of the adults in my life, and long to be seen as a mature beyond my years. I would have done almost anything to win the approval of my teachers. This is not to say that children should reject their more socially awkward, isolated peers. Not at all. As a former peer counsellor and current teacher's assistant, I strongly believe in and have seen the benefits of reaching out to those who need kindness most. But students should not be expected to cure the ills of our genuinely troubled classmates, or even our friends, because we first and foremost go to school to learn. The implication that Mr. Cruz's mental health problems could have been solved if only he had been more loved by his fellow students is both a gross misunderstanding of how these diseases work and a dangerous suggestion that puts children on the front line. It is not the obligation of children to befriend classmates who have demonstrated aggressive, unpredictable, or violent tendencies. It is the responsibility of the school administration and guidance department to seek out those students and get them help that they need, even if it is extremely specialized attention that cannot be provided by the same institution. No amount of kindness or compassion alone. Brilliant, I'll pin it. Join the Discord if you like, and there's also, it'll take you to the donations page. But when our police is so militarized, it is terrifying. Yes, I think 100%. I think it just needs to be a demilitarization of America in every sense. No amount of kindness or compassion alone would have changed the person that Nicholas Cruz was, or is, or was. Or the horrendous actions he perpetrated. That is a weak excuse for the failures of our school system, our government, and our gun laws. My little sister is now the age that I was when I was left alone with Mr. Cruz, anxious and defenseless. The thought of her being put in the same situation I was fills me with rage. I hope that she will never know the fear that I have become so accustomed to in the past month. The slightest unexpected sound makes my throat constrict and my neck hairs curl. I beg her to trust her gut whenever she feels unsafe, and I demand that the adults in her life protect her. That was a good article. Isabel Robinson. The link's already been put in chat, but yeah, very interesting. And just these sort of obsession with mass killing of children. From just extremist individuals and no clear motivation. By the way, there were videos of the shooter who was interested in like Nazi extremism and racism. So there is a motivation. Like, I don't know if I'm going to show it, but there's you can see there's a link to, there's a tweet in which you see them, Robin Westman talking about the fact of like being racist towards Jewish people and many other people. Hello everyone who's here. We're becoming more and more isolated and alienated from each other because this world only cares about our labor. Indeed, we live in a very fragmented society, an increasingly fragmented society. But yeah, I mean, and the same goes for Charlie Kirk, and that's why that video is so good. But yeah, so on the topic of, someone asked earlier, can you talk about this trans thing? And they were asking for a reliable article. Ken Klippenstein is generally a very reliable journalist. I trust Ken Klippenstein. The Trump administration is preparing to designate transgender people as violent extremists in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, two national security officials tell me. Right, I might just quickly upload a video saying I'm live on, I'm currently live on this platform. So 1 second, I'm just going to go through this. Hey man, I miss your color bones. Guys, also, please like the stream. Now! Like the damn stream. Hey everyone, if you... Hey everyone, I am currently live on YouTube. If you're seeing this on Instagram, the link is up here. But if you're seeing this on TikTok, then the link is in my bio. We're going to be talking about Trump's plan to designate transgender people as extremists, allegedly. We're going to be talking about Destiny being demonetized and also the TikTok takeover that is currently going on. So if you want to see that, come check it out. Sorry all. I know I'm not muted for once. I normally mute when I do this. Get this man an Emmy. Hell yeah, I deserve an Emmy for what I'm doing here. This is basically a TV series that Phase 2, Season 2 is about to start for one day next week. Or 2 days where I have my new PC and I can stream better. And then I will be live on... Sorry, I'm just looking at what Brace Belden has posted, and it's insane. Also, something I just wanted to actually quickly say about this whole Charlie Kirk thing. Some people have said that Charlie Kirk was not a very significant individual. Turning Point USA is a huge institution. Like, Turning Point USA played a big role in starting many people around the Trump administration's careers. He was a guy that brought people in the Trump administration together and all of these things. So this idea that, Charlie Kirk was like an inconsequential guy who just went around debating, I think is kind of foolish, I think listening to TrueAnon, because I know who Charlie Kirk is, and I've known who Charlie Kirk was for a long time, much more from his horrifying smug face, but at the same time, he's not some, nobody. He was someone who definitely helped to bring Trump to power. He was someone who massively helped to spread Zionist propaganda on TikTok. So dismissing him as just some sort of oh, he was just this random debater guy. No. It would be like dismissing Hasbari Weiss as just some imbecilic journalist, which of course, yes, she is. She is undeniably this. But at the same time, I think you have to actually say that, no, she is much more than this. I'll be your only gaming viewer. Also, by the way, you wanted to know the time. It's 5:30 in the UK right now. What did Daisy say? I didn't see what you said. Destiny finally fulfilled his destiny. I mean, I don't care about Destiny. But what I will say is that it is a really worrying precedent, and I worry that people like me and others will be demonetized. But I'm not in America, so maybe I will be. Maybe I will not be as in as problematic of a situation. But when Nigel Farage wins, I'm getting gulag. But yeah, so anyway, back to this. The Trump administration is preparing to designate transgender people as violent extremists in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. 2 national security officials tell me. We're looking at the entire spiderweb of any of these attacks, FBI Director Kash Patel told the House Judiciary on Wednesday when asked about shootings by trans individuals. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is kind of the major problem. This was always going to be the fallout of them just targeting a way larger amount of people by saying that, these people are just violent and extremists. And this stuff was already present in the Heritage Foundation, Esther. This kind of Project Esther. Look, okay, so this is the introduction to the Heritage Foundation report. Anti-Semitism in the US is alive and spreading. Hamas's October the 7th, 2023 terrorist attack on Israel laid bare existing anti-Semitism across the world, including the US. The virulently anti-Israel, anti-Zionist and anti-American groups comprising the so-called pro-Palestinian movement. Comprising the so-called pro-Palestinian movement inside the United States are exclusively pro-Palestine. Wait, what? The virulently anti-Israel, anti-Zionist and anti-American groups comprising the so-called pro-Palestinian movement inside the United States are exclusively pro-Palestine and more so pro-Hamas. They are part of a highly organized global Hamas support network and therefore effectively a terrorist support network. And when we see their explanation of this, which is crazy, look at this as well. In this light, virulently anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, anti-American groups comprising the pro-Palestinian movement, including those that merely use the issue cynically in the furtherance of other goals, both abroad and inside the US, are exclusively pro-Palestine, part of a highly organized global Hamas support network, and therefore effectively a terrorist support network. Although the HSN and individual HSOs that comprise it, such as National Students for Justice in Palestine, alternatively known as the Palestine Solidarity Committee, American Muslims for Palestine, Jewish Voices for Peace, Jewish Voices for fucking Peace. Like, this is what they were laying out. When he's calling it a spiderweb, these are the people funding Trump. We define the Hamas support network inside America as the people and organizations that are both directly and indirectly involved in furthering Hamas's cause, in contravention of American values, and to the determinant of to the detriment of American citizens and America's national security interests. Driven by ideology that is decidedly anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, and anti-American, the network revolves around American Muslims for Palestine, it's just repeating the organizations now, among many others, housed under the umbrella of academic institutions and comprised of students, faculty, and staff. These HSOs serve as AMP's action arms, recruiting members, disseminating propaganda, coordinating and conducting rallies. What they have wanted is to implement this, and they've already been doing it in terms of Palestine speech. And when it comes to the case of this kind of stuff, just don't be surprised. It feels worse than McCarthyism. The funny thing about McCarthyism is, when was one of the most amazing things about the American Communist Party is that Eugene Debs in the 1920s received 1 million votes. Received 1 million votes when he stood, which wasn't that significant amount. It's under 10% of the votes, right? But in the context of McCarthyism, there was genuinely more sympathy for communism before McCarthyism actually came in. And the dangers expressed by communism towards the American system of government were largely gone by the 1950s. It was far less significant. And then they just began McCarthyism because it was a time in which there was actually no real threat of communism, but they could basically just use it as a means to crack down on freedom of speech. But yes, he did. When you look at these people, there was actually less of a threat then. And this stuff, like, including Jewish Voice for Peace, Jewish Voice for Peace in the Hamas support network is ridiculous, when many Jewish Voice for Peace outlets are kind of liberal Zionists, aren't they? Or there are at least some elements of JVP that can be liberal Zionists. And it's kind of cracking down on anything which pushes people much further towards more extremist politics. So it's kind of ridiculous. There's a link. They, Attorney General, said after the Kirk murder, are putting this crazy ideology in our schools, echoing the growing view of many in Trump's inner circle that a cult of gender ideology is behind an explosion of violence by some as yet unidentified radical left. 2 days before Kirk was killed, Donald Trump condemned transgender insanity. Then in an interview about the shooting, he blamed the radicals on the left, saying they want transgenders everywhere. That they are pro one-state solution, although I'm sure that there are murmurs. Oh, okay. Yeah. Morning chat, I am so sick with chest congestion and snot ruining my fresh septum piercing. Sorry to hear. I've heard a lot of people are sick at the moment. You just got caned. And that's not funny because Chelsea actually just got caned. I was about to say kirked after you put it in chat. But you'll be going to the gulag, so enjoy that. Trump is arresting you, the whole spider web. But yeah, I mean, these are worrying times. And it's funny as well because, like, it kind of shows you how real threats are not actually what Americans want to deal with, because it requires an entire look into American society, kind of what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about like why Columbine happened, why all of these shootings are happening, which are isolated individuals with extremist views who are known as problems on the whole, who are then basically allowed access to guns, whether by family members, friends, and all of these things that allow them to get weapons. And then they inflict violence. And people don't want to look on like, hang on a second, this might be resulting from the society in which we live. You know, as the Joker said, we live in a society. Because that's actually something hard to look at. It is so much easier to just go, yeah, there are transgender leftist extremists who are existing outside of the system of lawful society, and let's get them, and then everything will be punished. They are cynically targeting the trans people because the shooter's lover was trans, one senior intelligence official tells me. The administration has convinced itself that the Charlie Kirk murder exposes some dark conspiracy. I don't think it... I think that that's a funny way that the intelligence officer puts it, because I think that ultimately they were already convinced of this and they would have engaged in the crackdown. But the thing is that that Charlie Kirk is just an accelerant. We've already heard this rhetoric about transgender people. We knew it was coming. Everyone knew it's coming. And the shift towards anti-transgender values and views in our society is just so acceptable, because increasingly homophobia has not become and been acceptable. And because of this, you've seen the rise of many conservative Republicans, like people like Hasbari Vice. Hasbari Vice is gay. Douglas Murray is gay. And sure, people like Douglas Murray bash the sort of pride element of being gay and are like, you should just be gay with the boys in Tel Aviv and the Israeli military. But ultimately, they're still, they've now found a way to create an other even for them. But it won't end with transgender people. Eventually gay people will be subjected to this as well. Mark my words. The water's been getting hotter. It was only a matter of time until it boiled over and something happened. Yeah, 100%. The UK is bad, but at least we're a mainly secular country now. No religious influence in our politics, just general bigotry and racism. Do you believe that? Because I don't believe that, because you have people like Jacob Rees-Mogg, whose decisions are genuinely informed by religion, and people like Nigel Farage, who are backed by, you know, Christian sort of nationalists over in America. So I think increasingly, you know, we are seeing the rise of this kind of stuff. So I wouldn't actually believe that we have separation of church and state. And also, by the way, this is kind of a lie told by Europe. The UK is actually an outlier in terms of our constitution, and we is not written or are like we don't have a constitution, but like the UK and its laws and systems were not written by Christians, and we haven't been dominated by Christians. But like in the case of like Germany, for example, Christian parties have always predominantly won in Germany. That's not true. What's not true? I keep thinking you're talking about the ex-Tory leader in Scotland when you say Donald Murray. Wait, I just want to check something. Did the noise go off? Like Germany, for example, Christian parties have always predominantly won in Germany. That's not true. What's not true? I keep thinking you're talking about the Sorry, you're going to hear me. Tory leader in Scotland when you say Donald Murray. Okay, it did go off. It did go off. Sorry, I wanted to check if I'd fucked around with stuff. Sorry if you've just heard me twice. Perfect. The Imperial Boomerang, it won't end with Palestinians. It won't end with trans people. No, not at all. It's already not ended with the damn trans people. They got Jimmy Kimmel. They took Jimmy Kimmel off air. They're going to take South Park away from us. They're going to take Hasbari Vice away from us for being gay. Are you still doing Douglas Murray impression requests? Have you ever been to the crossings? I was agreeing with you, Chris. Yeah. I mean, we do. The one difference is, and I feel like I'm not articulating this perfectly, but it's spoken about by like people like it's spoken about by people like Jan Werner Müller, who talks about this kind of stuff and says, like, actually, you know, the separation between church and state is not as huge as you'd imagine. But yeah, many parties throughout Europe were basically writing this kind of writing their constitutions with heavy religious influence. Germany is the perfect example of this. I meant Douglas Murray, not Donald. I know. Sorry, there's a fucking fly. You've never been? Oh, you've never been to the crossings? You've never been, Joe and Dave Smith? This human chat is so nice and respectful. Yes, I do. I think the thing is I do prefer it to TikTok, but today I was like, shit, I'm not uploading on TikTok, and I kind of want to still keep it open as an option. Although TikTok is slaughtering me monetary-wise. TikTok's payments are insane. I got paid £30 for a video that had 1.5 million views. No, it doesn't. The new South Park does not have Cartman getting shot. Cartman shot South Park. There's an episode where Cartman shoots Token, so... But I don't think they'd risk that, because that's done. 30 quid. I got paid 30 bob for me old video. Me video got paid 30 quid for me old video. That should be so funny. He's our little puppet. Chris, sing for us. Chris, do more impressions. Not a chance. Don't you ever, ever, ever ask me for anything. I don't do anything for this community. I hate you. No, I don't think they do that. I don't think they do that. But yeah, anyway, 2 days before Kirk was killed, Trump condemned transgender insanity. Then in an interview, we read this. They are cynically targeting... we read that as well. The senior official explains that there is no process per se for dealing with trans people as a threat group, but feels that trans individuals will be increasingly targeted under the banner of violent extremism. I just want to say, by the way, how dare Ethan Klein sit there and blame Hassan for this, when right now we are seeing the McCarthyism that people like him and Dan Saltman wanted. And it won't end with them. It will not end with them. Worshipping at the altar of Charlie Kirk will not change anything for you. Worshipping at the altar of October the 7th will not change anything for you. Sitting there and condemning something that happened 2 years ago is not going to change anything at all. It just won't happen. Starmer's so spineless yesterday. No, he wasn't spineless, bro. Bro was doing tricks on it like you've never seen before. Like, come on. They did do... there was once upon a time I uploaded a video talking about... how... I uploaded a video talking about basically how in the context of South Park, they had this episode about the red cows. And someone was like... don't ever say that. Don't ever say that kind of stuff. They don't need a spine to do tricks on it. Trust me, the kind of tricks that Starmer's doing, you need a damn spine. Daisy, welcome to level 1. Thank you for becoming a member. Hello, my overtly cunsery gang. What are we talking about? We're talking about transgender people. Everything's become transgender. Under the plan being discussed, the FBI would treat transgender suspects as a subset of the Bureau's new category, nihilistic violent extremists. The Trump administration first created the NVE designation earlier this year to replace the Biden-era label, anti-authority and anti-government violent extremists. Already, do you not see how, like, just in this, that Biden... laid the groundwork. Anti-authority and anti-government violent extremists created to categorize January 6 rioters and other violent right-wing groups or other right-wing groups. That's also to categorize left-wing groups. Anti-authority and anti-government violent extremists. The new classification, sources say, gives Trump officials political and media cover. Rather than directly naming transgender people as some enemy, the White House has preferred euphemisms like gender ideology extremism. There are so many people who need to pay for this. There are so many people who created this situation, who have spent years demonizing trans people, and by the way, bear more responsibility in the shooting of Charlie Kirk than anyone even like Destiny or whoever does, whoever has advocated for political violence. Because in the context of like someone who had a trans partner who was seemingly apolitical targeting Charlie Kirk on the basis of his hatred, I feel like there's just a part of something you have to say about like someone who, and seemingly from other reports, his parents didn't know that he was dating a transgender person because of probably the shame that he was made to feel of just dating a human, of dating someone who is you know, different from the norms, but just a human being living and existing their life, and the violence in which that person was subjected, and transgender people as a whole, by a society that is fanned by people like J.K. fucking Rowling, Graham Linehan, so many people who are just like blaming and considerably just spewing hate constantly about transgender people, which is just pushing people towards violent actions. Don't ever sit there and blame people on the left generally. Blame the people who turned up the heat over and over again by continually demonizing trans people. I said it the other day, normally trans people turn violence inwards. I feel like that's not an inappropriate thing to say, or people will understand what I'm saying, in the sense of I've heard someone talk about it with like women, and generally like misogyny leading to self-destructive violence, such as things like, I don't know, eating disorders and stuff, and like punishing yourself in the context of that. One of my friends used to talk about that a lot. And I think in the context of trans people, you see high rates of like ending their own lives, high rates of like harming themselves and things like this. And I think that you kind of now exist in a context where that violence is turned outward, and then all of these people scream and blame someone who had a transgender partner. And I'm not saying that like you should like celebrate Charlie Kirk being shot, especially if you're American. Don't be getting up to that, bro. They're gonna send you to the gulag. Trans people are beautiful. It is awful our country is using you all as a scapegoat. We love you all here. There are so many people who have your back. Exactly. I don't care about like I don't care about trans people living their lives. Of course I care about trans people, but I only care about trans people in the sense of like trans people are being subjected to violence and bigotry so much by our state, by our governments, who continually propagate the same narratives, who continually act like, take the UK government. The UK government are really wishy-washy on trans people. Like, one second they'll be like, oh, we respect trans people, and then Keir Starmer will be saying another thing, where Streeting will say and do something. And so they fan the flames of the transgender issue, whilst also still acting somewhat liberal on it, which kind of creates this situation where transgender people are still being subjected to violence, and yet the government is fanning flames rather than taking an unequivocal stance to say it is not okay to spread hatred about anyone. I mean, the funny thing is by the way, a TV show in the UK, which was like way bigger than it was then, Nation Street. The first transgender actress, and this, who appeared on UK television, character, not actually an actress, the actor was cis, who first appeared in 1998, was played by a cisgender actress, Julie Hesmondhalgh, and it was Hayley Cropper, and this was when it was actually a big TV show, and you had a trans character. Yes, there would have been pushback. I don't actually know how much there was. But apparently, public and critical reaction to Hayley Cropper's reveal as a transgender woman in Coronation Street was largely positive. Thank you for the AI overview. Was largely positive, with viewers and commentators praising the show for its respectful and compassionate portrayal of the character. So apparently, I mean, we'll trust the AI. But this was in the 1990s, and this has been created into an issue just on the basis of the fact that gay people can no longer be targeted, because the propaganda about gay people was exactly the same. They engage in like a perverted form of sex that transcends the moral norms, even the biblical norms that are laid down to us in terms of what we should be and do, and all of these kind of things. And they are portrayed as these figures who are enjoying at our expense, who are engaging in gender ideology extremism. And so it's okay to hate on them. And I think that like most of these people saying this stuff just literally want other people to suffer, and would say these same kind of things about gay people if they got the chance. But ultimately gay people, it can no longer be said about. And I think it's sad, but I think it's just not surprising. But I will. Don't worry about the PC. The PC will be fixed. There'll be I think I might get a new microphone as well. I'm considering maybe I should just take this one away with me and then buy a new one whilst I'm out there, because I think it would be, it would make sense. But yeah, they used to say gay people were a danger to children. Now they just say trans people are a danger to children. I mean, some people like Charlie Kirk probably would still say. I mean, he did actually say that gay and lesbian people were ruining children and stuff. But yeah. Wrong, puberty was horrible for me, and I was deeply closeted and didn't even realise what was making me so horrible. Wrong, puberty was... Oh, I see what you mean, I was like, I thought you were saying wrong, and I was like, well, I didn't mention puberty, but I understand what you're saying, garlic fries. Pissed me off so much. I have 2 trans friends, and seeing the internal peace of mind they had after transitioning was wonderful. They were both depressed. It's also like, we had this discussion when someone was getting really upset. If you are really sitting there and you're like, bathrooms aren't safe, the trans people are going to kill us all in bathrooms and touch us all up and molest our kiddies. All you need in these situations is kids and women and anyone who's using a bathroom, trans people, men, being in bathrooms that have lockable doors with closable bottoms and tops, so you can literally record the outside of the bathrooms, I guess, because then that actually also is much safer, or the areas around. And also so people can't get in, so they can't peek at you and do these kind of things, you know? I haven't even been able to socially transition. I look like a girl and I'm so fucking sad. I'm sorry to hear. It's such a horrible situation. I don't know if you're in America, but... there are a lot of trans people who are involved in the Palestine-related stuff, and it's like at my university, and you know, like the fact that people just have like no respect for people who just want to live their life is just despicable to me. It's literally fucking fine, 100%. I just ban bathrooms. Yes, no bathrooms. I think instead of bathrooms, everyone should just piss themselves. I'm saying it. I want to piss myself on stream, but no, social conventions tell me, oh, Chris, don't get piss on the carpet. Oh, Chris, don't get piss all over your shorts. I will literally live my life however the frick I want, okay? We had an MSP who was filming folk in the loos in Holyrood. Straight men, of course. Yeah, I mean, that was something that happened at my school. Someone got arrested, and they'd kept doing it over multiple different places. I think they were expelled from my school for filming people, and then eventually they did it again, I think, and then were arrested as an adult. They like, and you just sit there and you think, what, was that something to do with them being goddamn trans? Bathrooms are already banned. This is the UK. We have toilets, 100%. Yeah, I've got a corner in my room where I pee. You do realise that, guys. I just go over to the corner and do it. I've been hurt in many ways by different cis men. I have not been hurt once by a trans person. The only thing I'd say about that is there are, obviously I wouldn't just put like people on a pedestal and say that trans people are like, you know, just incapable of causing harm or being bad and immoral. But I understand what you're saying, that like people acting as if it's a trans problem. But yeah. I 100% see what you're saying. Cis women who use washrooms have themselves said that there was no major incident, either trans women in washrooms. And of course there'll be people who would, and I don't think it's like unreasonable to ever say, oh my god, someone might use this for exploitation or anything like that, you know? Anything like that, because of course there'll be someone who tries to do that, but create a situation where that is impossible by improving the toilet. Just improve the bathroom as a whole. Like, that is literally to fix the problem. Like, it's so simple. And for anyone who is sat there telling you otherwise, and they're like, I hold these beliefs about trans people, and like, oh, but there is some reality to the problem. It's like, yeah, okay, but there are also probably most, and you find it with some people who are pro-Palestine, and it's like, in the context of Palestine, you can see that, like, yes, and it's like the guy who came on and was like, oh, did you know about this story about the Yazidi? And it's like, oh, wow, someone in Gaza did something bad, and there are people who hold bad beliefs in the Gaza Strip. Okay, that doesn't surprise me at all. But it's just in the context of, you know, people who are then like, oh, well, this means something and speaks to all trans people. It's like, address the root of the issue, you know? Like, I imagine most trans people who consider themselves to have always been the gender they feel identified with, but is there actually a change? Like, my gender identity used to be A, now it's B. I think that also these rigid definitions of gender just don't really make sense anyway, because I don't think any man, truthfully, can ever sit there and tell you, well, I feel self-identical to this category that we create of male entirely, where it's like strong, masculine, and even men who fit this stereotype most, very often you meet them and they're not self-identical to that, even though they may be like strong men as you might expect. But like, and what I'm trying to say here is that you might meet someone who's like a big burly man, but there are these points of like incongruence with that, where they may like, you know, some kind of music, they may be interested in like singing a certain way. And in terms of how we would specifically understand these stereotypes of like how men and how women exist, no one is self-identical with that. And kind of the obsession with that kind of identity politics. And when I talk about identity politics, I'm not actually really talking about, you know, the trans issue. I'm talking much more about people who feel obsessed with this kind of ideal that they are like this strong masculine man, and they're just not identical to it. Like, yeah, Ben Shapiro versus Hassan Piker. Hassan has worn a dress multiple times. Like, and what, does that make him like a gay trans woman? Is that what it means? Bro, I'd be listening to Chapel Roan, but I prefer that song that's like, when you wake up, good luck, babe. I like that one. You could kiss 100 boys in bars. What a banger. But yeah, like, what I'm saying is, and that, like, even the listening to Pink Pony Club, when someone's like, oh, my dad's a 50-year-old man and listens to Pink Pony Club, he's like a big burly man, and it's like, hey, do you not see that, like, what Chapel Roan kind of provokes within you is this kind of, like, this fact that, and this jolt that you feel within that, when that kind of thing happens, that maybe there is something wrong with the category and the definition, as opposed to actually, the category in the definition, as opposed to people who feel very different to that kind of thing, you know? And that only includes incel culture among those unable to conform with the alpha stereotype as well. Exactly, and it's like I would never ever describe myself as an alpha male, and nor do I ever feel that I've become like more alpha by becoming big. When I was younger, I was like tiny, skinny, and now I'm like heavy, like I'm a big boy. I'm obviously quite short, but I'm a big boy. If Tony Soprano lover's here, I'm 5'8", but if she's not, I'm actually 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", maybe even 6 foot, I think. But don't let them. I'd go trans before I'd watch Ben Shapiro. I don't know, bro. When Ben Shapiro goes, I'm Ben Shapiro, and I'm dunking on the liberals. It's amazing. You should do a singing stream. Well, I'll sing, come out ye black and tans, come out and fight me like a man, show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. I think I've listened to Good Luck Babe too many times to really consider myself a straight woman. I'm a big boy. I mean, I'm just quite, I've been bulking for too long and my sweet tooth is killing me. Yeah. The Wolf Researcher is also so upset with his study. Who's our big boy? And me, I'm the big thick boy. On his first day in office, Trump signed an executive order establishing federal policy as defining sex as an immutable biological reality of male and female. He also signed an order to keep transgender individuals out of women's sports. This order directed other federal agencies to enforce laws based on the definition and to cease funding for anything that promotes gender ideology. What does that even mean? Like, people... I assume that by gender ideology they mean specifically transgender stuff, but I hope that means that they stop funding Bluey, because I actually believe that Bluey is radicalizing our youths. Thanks, Chris. You've created a really comfortable and respectful place to chat here. Yeah, I mean, like, look, I mean, like, thank you for your very kind donation, but I think in terms of, like, people being transphobic and stuff, you know, I wouldn't, like, want people to say transphobic shit around my friends, so I've, like... I like, and people I know and people who I respect, and so many people I've met who are trans, and like, look, I may not always be the best on people's pronouns and stuff, and that's just like kind of my mistake, and I know you should do better on that, and it's, yeah, but like, I do genuinely supportive of trans people, and I just believe, like, live and let live. It's always been my opinion. I'm not getting yoked. I'm nurturing and caretaking growth. Yeah. They mean anything feminist as well. Yes. Tony Soprano lover can't confirm anything because they're a goddamn liar about my beautiful height. Wasn't his gender definition of transphobic Bill wrong? Immutable biological reality. I don't know if it's just a way of defining it. Additional executive orders have been signed that aim to restrict the access to gender-affirming healthcare for minors. Bro, why are they taking it away from minors? They already got hit hard by Margaret Thatcher, and now Trump is taking away their gender-affirming care. God damn it. The administration, labelling it as chemical and surgical mutilation. The State Department has since stopped its issuing new passports with an X gender marker. The Department of Homeland Security says it will ban transgender women from traveling to the US to compete in professional sports. A ban on transgender people serving openly in the military was reinstated, and earlier this month CNN reported that the Department of Justice was discussing denying trans people's right to possess firearms on the rationale that transgenderism is a mental illness. Don't worry though, if you are a fan of Nazism, you'll be able to get your firearm. I would say that being an extremist Nazi is far more of a person obsessed with dangerous identity politics than anyone who believes that they are trans or is trans. I'm pretty sure the biological sex bill said that women is anyone born female, and not to be pedantic, but everyone's made the joke. Born female. Wait. What? I'm not sure. I don't know the joke. People can be trans without surgical intervention. Indeed. I'm actually quite happy with the emphasis on someone's pronouns. I'm horrible at remembering people's names. Pronouns is just easier. Fair enough. They really just want to make life miserable for trans kids, but it's actually also because it's way easier to take rights away from children than it is from adults. Also, by the way, I would say that, remember that the Nazis started, and this is something that a guy called Boaz Evron writes about. He is like Jewish people, Slavic people, and like all of the people that the Nazis actually began by exterminating disabled people. It was only able to be done to people because they were already seen as unacceptable groups in society, and so the treatment of transgender people is about to get heinous, and the things in America will worsen, and they're already showing basically more of a willingness to just kill more and more people. Sorry, I just opened Twitter and Bad Empanada has been on fire on Twitter. I know I was saying I don't love everything he says, but this is a banger tweet. It's a shame it's not the 70s. Greta would have hijacked 4 planes by now. Amazing tweet, and I think he probably has a point. Any queer people okay with dropping the T are disgusting and delusional because they'll come for the rest of us soon enough. Yeah, and I mean also it just comes from a position of trying to accede to a society that has no place for you. My family has some history with the Nazis. But the Kirk killing has broken any hesitance to declare an all-out war on trans people, even amongst the anti-trans Trump inner circle. Take, for instance, White House counter-terrorism czar Sebastian Gorka, who prior to Kirk's murder, despite his prodigious output on X, had never tweeted the word trans. During the second Trump term... The day after Kirk's assassination, though, Gorka posted 3 separate tweets about trans shooters. Or this trans shooters conspiracy. This trans shooters conspiracy, he really just tweeted the same thing. Amazing stuff. Rough time to be trans and disabled, innit? Solidarity with my BIPOC siblings. I can't fucking imagine what you're dealing with. Yeah, and I mean, all of this just relates to kind of like a class thing as well, Just demonizing people. And this sells well with... I suppose there's actually must be an element of, like, this sells well with, like, I don't know if this would sell well, but, I don't want to make an assumption, but, I don't know, actually. I was about to say that, like, maybe you could say that, like... I actually want to check something. I was just wondering whether sports would be more popular amongst people who are working class. Generally, I didn't know if there's a correlation, and I think it would require some research. But I think that in terms of like targeting people on this basis and trying to work up working class people about hating other people may be part of it. Trans Tifa goes so hard. God damn it, I'm in the Trans Tifa. Most trans people are poorer than dirt. A considerable amount, indeed. I don't believe that you need to medically transition or even be out of the closet to really be trans, but you should still have the right to feel comfortable while doing those things. It's only right. Yeah, I agree with you. I saw a graph that said the UK's attitude towards immigration was correlated with how much the Daily Mail talked about immigration. Yeah, we constantly hear about trans people and how much of a threat they are. As I said, Coronation Street, when it was actually like one of the most popular shows and people used to actually fucking watch it, like it was then where they had a trans character, and not now. Or at least I don't know if they have one now. We'll have to find out. Maybe we'll just watch Coronation Street on my stream now, and that's just all we'll do for the rest of the days. Today, Donald Trump's Gorka is the highest level counterterrorism official in the Trump administration. He tweeted this on goddamn 9/11. Today, Donald Trump Jr. is summarized the mood of his father's inner circle on X. What is the greatest threat to domestic terror facing America? Sorry, what is the greatest domestic terror threat facing America? Antifa or Trantifa? Antifa, Trantifa. They're the same thing. Antifa, short for anti-fascist, refers to a loosely affiliated anarchist movement that Trump frequently blames for political violence. By the way, this is why Antifa is also so amazing, in the same context of why Trenda Aragua is so amazing for Trump, because it's such like an amorphous group. It's like the war on terror. The war on terror had to be endless because it's so expansionist, and when you constantly attack people and constantly like target them, one of the bases, and continually offer no societal solutions, it increasingly pushes people to move towards engaging in militant resistance against the West. And I think that in the context of Antifa, the more that Trump becomes fascist, he's going to push people more towards being anti-fascist. Do these people still think Antifa is like an actual organization? My goodness, yeah, they do think Antifa is an actual organization. Trantifa is a label suggesting transgender activists represent a violent network akin to Antifa. The Trantifa term, now ascendant, has percolated for the past several years. It appears in an internal officer awareness bulletin circulated by the private Symbol Intelligence Group, which contracts with the FBI and local enforcement, obtained through a request by the Transparency non-profit Property of the People. By the way, this will also be because trans people are heavily involved in protest movements. Like, just generally, trans people are involved in protests because they are inherently political because of the basis of the attack on them, you know? I just got back from the Antifa meeting. We trans like 10 kids. Congratulations, bro. The prosecutors have already made clear that they are placing transgender identity at the center of their case against Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson. The indictment refers to transgender issues 3 separate times: mass shooting by transgender individuals, trans rights oriented, biological male who was transitioning genders. Yesterday, Trump announced he was designating Antifa a major terrorist organization. The White House is reportedly drafting an executive order to that effect. Mainstream media outlets mocked the move, pointing out that the only group with overseas connections can be formally listed as foreign terrorist organizations. But that criticism overlooks the fact that the FBI has the authority to designate and watchlist domestic terrorists secretly. There are some 4,000 Americans or so named with no foreign nexus. Kash Patel has said the FBI is looking into Robinson's entire network of contacts, well beyond the 20 people in his Discord friend group. The leaked chat messages from the group that I published earlier this week do not suggest anything close to a conspiracy. It's perhaps not too surprising that the Trump administration's war on diversity, equity, and inclusion is now encompassing the transgender community. By the way, also, the reason that Israel was so threatened by the First Intifada was basically the reason that they were so threatened by the First Intifada was because they tried to designate every Palestinian who was in Palestinian society and a member of like these underground groups as being like a terrorist, basically. But the problem was every Palestinian was in this network, so Israel could do nothing. And the thing is this is just going to force more people towards protest because everyone is being politicized. What people expected of Biden from the previous time he got elected was that there would be a return to normalcy, that we would all be getting to, you know, that Kamala Harris thing where it's like, I don't know if it's a joke, we'd all be sipping cocktails at brunch. Although it's a joke, it speaks to a genuine mood in American society that if Biden or whoever Democrat gets into power, everything gets back to normal. It's the same in the UK. We had all of these people who told us, when the adults are back in the room, everything will be fine. The adults are in the room right now and nothing is happening because they were in the room before, because the people who don't want normalcy are both sides of the political spectrum in America. And the status quo is, of course, inherently violent. And the more people that realize that the status quo is inherently violent and directed specifically against minorities and groups that are hated by our governments, the more people who realize that, the more resistance there will be to this kind of stuff. But while the DEI crackdown is likely to be reversed by subsequent administrations, given the sheer number of people it affects, a federal designation of trans people, who account for a far smaller number, as violent extremists pretends a longer-term campaign. The practice, now deeply embedded as a result of 2 decades of the global war on terror, includes constructing link analysis diagrams of friends and friends of friends, monitoring social media, opening more intrusive investigations to collect intelligence on potential extremists, watchlisting people, and even arresting people preemptively, all in the name of public safety. And just imagine that the violence that trans people will be subjected to in these horrifying prison systems. Also, Michelle, shout out Michelle for becoming a 1-month member. Thank you for every member. Once I'm back from Canada, I will have more things going with the members. I am going to stream in Canada. There will be a week off, so probably next week there'll only be a stream on Monday, but there won't be a stream next time. Hey Chris and chat, sorry for a big message, but I was wondering if anyone has advice for me. I have a stress-induced seizure disorder and can't balance news intake with my safety. I've had 2 this week. Any advice, honestly, from anyone here? I don't know if there's just like the way in which, although the news is horrifying to me, and although I find it super stressful, I think that the truth is that we've existed in this way for so long. And under capitalism, this kind of stress and paranoia is present because, like, capitalism is a system with no specific master, right? Like, there's no one to point out and be like, right, this is the body, this is the master of capitalism inflicting all of these woes. Yeah, we could be like America as a whole, but it's not like we have a king, a singular body to understand these things through. But if there's any major news, I'll go live and maybe just do like a quick live. I am indeed going to Montreal already for the incarceration of trans folk. Indeed, yeah. I'm sorry about this, Cosmo. I have anxiety. I mean, I'll let you guys kind of address it because I don't know. But I think the way in which I consume the news, I kind of just try not to feel doom and gloom. But I know that that doesn't necessarily work, and I know that I feel stress about it. That Israel's attack in Sana'a was the deadliest attack on journalists in the Middle East. Yeah, that has barely been discussed. I mean, at first it was being denied that they were even journalists. But that even journalists. But right, yeah, just like worrying times ahead for trans people, but it just doesn't surprise me. And this is the political landscape that we've created by 2 political parties that are not unequivocal in their support for trans people, who are not like, look, trans people have to be respected, whatever. Itchy eyes, itchy eyes, itchy eyes. Are you doing meet and greet, Chris? I'm a Palestinian doctor in Montreal, otherwise have a safe trip. I don't know if I would do a meet and greet. Perhaps I'll maybe organise something if there are multiple people, but I don't know if it's just one person in Montreal. Right, but yeah, that's Ken Klippenstein's article, and I'd recommend it. This is not their fault. It is a result of the world in which we live. Yes. Get some eye drops, Habibi. It's hay fever. It's not eye drops that I need. But my eyes are a bit tired because it's been a hard week of work, I'll be honest with you. Because on Tuesday I wasn't in like London for fun. I'm just doing like some stuff related to content now. Not like making content. But like, Israel killed 31 journalists in Yemen strike, Press Freedom Group says. The deadliest single strike on journalists in the Middle East ever documented by the CPJ. 31 journalists and media workers were killed in Israeli airstrikes on a newspaper complex in Yemen last week, according to a report released Friday by the CPJ. So this was a story that I probably should have talked about previously because it's so important. It is major. The attack was the deadliest against journalists since the Maguindanao massacre in the Philippines 16 years ago, and the second deadliest in the New York-based press freedom ever recorded. Yeah, I can. Did you guys not know about this story? Like, I mean, most people didn't know about this story. I was going to report on it on TikTok, but the thing is quite often I just don't report on things on TikTok anymore because I prefer doing this, like, to be honest. Hey everyone, love from Florida, love from the UK. I've been doing a lot of handmade projects for people to ease stress. It keeps my hands and mind busy. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like the guy who I was talking to earlier who's like, Hamas must be destroyed. Ooh, Hamas must be destroyed because they do war crimes. Hamas must be doing all of these things. Ooh, they must be liquidated. And it's like, Israel killed 31 journalists. If Zionist wins, we're done as a species, which is why they wanted to I think we're just done as a species if capitalism goes on. I don't think it matters whether fucking Zionism wins or not, to be honest. Zionism winning is an atrocious thing, and it has been winning for far too long in terms of its seizure of the public narrative around Palestine and justification of its mass slaughter. How many fucking journalists is it even at now? Do we have a number? There is a number, and it's over 200, easily over 200. Israeli strikes hit a government press complex at 4:45 p.m. local time on September the 11th, as staff of the Yemeni army's official news outlet were finalizing a weekly print edition. The publication's editor-in-chief, Nasser al-Hadri, told CPJ. The timing contributed to the high death toll in the attack, which killed journalists and media workers at 3 Houthi-connected media outlets. It's so insane. And all of these people would be like, oh my god, an Israeli was shot for working at the embassy. Oh my god, look at the rising climate of hatred towards Jewish people. Oh my god. And it's like, bro, this is what Israel is doing. You know that the meme that's like, they invented you made the sandwich. You made the sandwich. You made the sandwich with the violence that you inflict all around the world and your continual justification of mass killing. Yemen's 26 September newspaper, the army outlet, was the first to name those killed in the attack. A child who had accompanied one journalist to work was also killed in the strike, Al-Hadri told CPJ. The Houthi Health Ministry said that 35 people were killed in the attack, including journalists, and that 131 were wounded. A Houthi spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment. In a statement following the attack, the IOF said it had targeted the Houthi military public relations headquarters responsible for distributing and disseminating pro-Houthi propaganda messages, including speeches of Houthi leader Abdul Malik, and statements from Houthi spokesman Yahya Saree. Houthis aren't designated a terrorist organization, so I want to say, in the Houthis' operations of resistance against the Western powers and the state of Israel, I am unequivocally in support of them, because this is what we do to Yemeni people. We butcher them. We have butchered them for years. We continually allow them to be butchered, and you expect them to just sit down and fucking take it as people are slaughtered, children are slaughtered, and their lives are meaningless to the vast majority of Westerners, and they believe that this is justified, and they tell you, oh, if Hamas took over Palestine, it would be so bad for the Jewish people. And it's like, you need a counterfactual, when right now I am witnessing Israel mass slaughtering journalists, doctors, medics all over the Middle East. By the way, I got a reminder from a local org. If you live in the US and don't have pepper spray on your person, please consider it. Well, I don't live in the US, so I can't encourage it. In a statement to the WAPO, the IOF said during this war, the headquarters led the propaganda efforts and the terrorist regime's psychological terror. Okay, Israel is engaged in psychological terror. Does this mean that under their laws, every Israeli journalist, anyone who engages in Israeli psychological terror, poisoning people's mind in terms of in favor of the Zionist project, are legitimate targets? Because under your logic, it goddamn is. Pepper spray is illegal here, I believe. The Houthi health... here we go. The IOF did not respond to a request for evidence of military activity at the site. You're not even allowed to do that. Under international law, that is totally illegitimate. Israeli strikes targeting Yemen's Houthi rebels have left a trail of destruction across Sana'a in recent weeks, killing dozens of people according to Houthi authorities, and destroying homes in residential areas. Iran-backed Houthi rebels have controlled the city for more than 10 years. By the way, the need to mention Iran-backed is insane. The need to mention them as Iran-backed rebels when the Houthis... This was noted, I've mentioned this before. There's a WikiLeaks document. As the Ali Abdullah Saleh regime was falling in Yemen, there was a document that was like, oh, there's attempts to portray the Houthis as pro-Iran stooges, and it's not true. You can look at actual experts talking about this. The Houthis are not an organization created by Iran or anything like that. This is just propaganda spread to justify their killing. Israeli strikes targeting Yemen's Houthi rebels have left a trail of destruction across Sana'a in recent weeks, killing dozens of people according to Houthi authorities and destroying homes in residential areas. And you're right, they should be considered, like, you shouldn't just be saying Houthi. This is just, even this article is used to justify their killing. Iran-backed Houthi rebels have controlled this... Oh no, here we go. Al-Khadri told the CPJ that his newspaper's printing press and century-old archives were destroyed in last week's attacks. It is a deeply painful loss. Human rights advocates said that the strikes on news outlets are not justified under international law, even if they are tied to the military or public political messaging. Why don't they say that then? Why don't you say not human rights advocates but international law? Propaganda is not enough to make a media institution a military target, said Niku Jafani, Yemen and Bahrain researcher at Human Rights Watch, a leading rights group based in New York that condemned the strike on journalists. They must be actively contributing to military action, for example, engaging in military communications. Under international law, journalists are considered civilians unless they are engaged in armed combat or military operations. Journalists are restricted from reporting independently in Houthi-controlled areas. Newspapers in Sana'a have been... And that's also, by the way, that you don't have to be like, Houthis are amazing. The Houthis are, like, hugely the best people ever. What I'm saying is, in their operations against the West, I'm not going to sit here and condemn people whose lives have been torn apart for generations by them. The Houthis are still pretty authoritarian, you know, and have engaged in some multiple war crimes, particularly in the context of the Yemeni civil war. There's undeniable. They immediately detained many journalists and took over media institutions, said Jafani, who has documented attacks on the Yemeni press corps during the country's 11-year civil war, including the September 11th attack. Israel's strikes on Yemen's Houthi-affiliated press corps show a pattern of strikes across the region. According to CPJ's count, Israeli military has killed at least 223 journalists and media workers across Gaza, Lebanon, Iran and Yemen in conflicts that have spanned the region since the 7th of October 2023 Hamas attacks. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to read any more of this, but yeah, it's just explaining why Israel... Just so sad. Really, really sad stuff. Right, let's quickly talk about Destiny demonetized. So Destiny was demonetized. It's funny you mention OC spray as illegal in the UK. They tried to claim it was basically eating a vegetable here in the US. Really? Yeah, it's very different. The UK bans anything and everything it can. Next, they're going to be banning people from owning rolling pins. But yeah, the channel memberships feature on Destiny has been paused, so your membership has been paused. We'll let you know when it starts up again, and you resume your recurring payments. If you like, you can cancel this membership from the purchases page on a computer or Android device, or request a refund of your last month's membership. Wow. I mean, as I said, I don't give a shit about Destiny. I don't support Destiny. I don't think Destiny is a good guy. I think Destiny is a bad individual. I think Destiny has done horrible things and said horrible things. I think there's a clip of him being demonetized here.
Our fucking life matters!
Oh,
I'm sorry. Kirk's fans want revenge. What do we do? And you know what's so interesting as a black man? One thing I noticed about Charlie Kirk's death, there wasn't rioting in the streets like it was after George Floyd. That's the one thing that I noticed about Charlie.
Sorry. I just...
church there. And it's so interesting that you want to cherry pick and nitpick and use odd examples that benefit you, but you deliberately want to have blind vision to see that the radical left ideology that has been influencing this country for the past 20 years led to the death of Charlie Kirk. Why did the DOJ remove from their website the study on radical, politically inspired violence over the past decade? Why did they take that down?
I have no knowledge.
You don't know anything about that?
No.
Okay.
I have no knowledge. I think transgenders should be able to own guns.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's
You
it's a
guess?
Second Amendment right, yeah.
You
sure.
guess?
It's a Second Amendment right, no?
Why do they keep on shooting fucking schools then?
Well, aren't the most
Them,
common
they,
school
whatever
shooters
the
white
fuck you
guys?
wanna
Do you
call
think
it,
white
why
men
the
should be
fuck?
disallowed from owning guns?
Do you think that being transgender is a mental illness?
I don't
God, these people sound even stupider than the people who debate Charlie Kirk.
have an opinion
Do
on it
you
for this audience
think-
right now.
Do you
Who do
think
you think most school shooters were white men?
it's all part of the narrative, dude?
Yeah, the narrative
It's
is you
all
not
part of the
answering my
narrative,
question.
and you
Yeah,
know it.
Go ahead, preach. We're in church
You
right
know
now.
it.
Go ahead.
They said that the guy that shot Charlie was a Republican.
Can you answer
he
me this?
wasn't.
If trans people are such effective assassins, why do we kick them all out of the military?
Looking at this one right here, I want to get this fucking thing a gun.
Crazy. I mean, I was hoping that this had to... Because there is a clip of him being demonetized, and I'm just trying to find it. It's also probably because I'm spelling demonetized with a Z. Without a Z, sorry.
He's acting like
my YouTube.
Okay, here you go.
I feel like my YouTube is gonna get permabanned soon because I got like broad demonetized yesterday for that I didn't even cite a video. So I don't know. I'll appeal it. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
I mean, if Kimmel is getting canceled from ABC, I don't know. I feel like my YouTube is gonna get
Of all the things Destiny has done and said and behaved and argued and said, it's amazing that this is finally what might get Destiny deplatformed completely. I suppose, will Rumble be able to hold places for these people? Like, where does Rumble operate out of? Like, why is it that, like, Rumble is able to host basically anyone? What is that? We need to work on your volume levels. No, that's just because I was very close to the mic. That's my own fault. I'm sorry about that. My apologies. This is the average American brain. I mean, just in terms of just this kind of stuff happening, and it is worrying, even if it's Destiny. But, you know, at the same time, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. There are many things that Destiny has done, as I say, that should have got him demonetized. Probably calling for the genocide of an entire people might be a bigger reason for doing that, you know? Might be a bigger reason for him deserving to be banned. But, you know, of course, it doesn't matter.
Largely only watch you.
But here's Hassan talking about this, Mr. Handsome. We're having to look at Yeet, Orc 2000.
Not gonna lie.
And this time, is it appropriate to move my camera? Because I know you all have your weird little perverse crushes on my BFF, best friend forever, Hassan Piker, Hamas liker.
Your sub count, the only thing having them not throw you under the bus before this, probably their metrics show you're not botted and viewers largely only watch you. Yes. There's a couple different reasons. One, because I play ball. Okay. I stick within the confines, no matter how much my haters try to fucking present it as the opposite, I stick within the confines of the terms of service. I'm a progressive figure, and also association with me for Twitch and therefore Amazon as well is a positive one in the eyes of mainstream news because they get a lot of prestige when the New York Times writes about, you know, a young activist fighting the good fight or whatever the fuck, right? On top of that, I also make money for the platform because a percentage of your subscriptions go to Twitch. So for them, they see a lot of discontent. They see a lot of anger. They see all this like bullshit. And at least for the time being, they think, yeah, it's not, you know, there's no reason to just like fucking clap this person.
Yeah, I mean, this is the truth. It's one of the reasons that I'm sure that, like, people, like, I guess I don't have the same impact and sway on TikTok, but in terms of keeping people on the TikTok platform, like I was talking about the other day, the amount of money that I have made for TikTok in terms of just, like, actually just keeping people on the platform, even not directly through my content, because it's obviously not monetizable, really, or that monetizable. It's one of the key reasons that, like, they won't ban you, because they know that you're still bringing in money for them. So they'd rather just limit your content generally when it's subversive, basically. But let's just listen to Hassan mocking the admin on...
So pointed out, it's not new. He has tried to...
Okay, no, we won't watch it because the audio's bad and you'll all start going, Chris, do this very basic thing that would help you. Chris, do this very basic thing that would help you. And I'll go, no. I just want to see if there's more of him talking about this, because I think... And I understand your comment about it being more worrying that Hassan might be targeted with a gun. And that is, of course, worrying. But at the same time... Hassan, it's worrying that these people are going to be deplatformed and all of these things. I'm just seeing if I can find any of this. There's not much more about him talking about it. But I wonder what Hassan would do. Stream on Rumble? Stream on any of these things? Stream on Kick? Hassan has to become anti-Semitic, because maybe he'll get I guess he hasn't said anything like Destiny, so demonetizing him isn't as possible. Coffee Addict sent 5 memberships. Rabid Sai, Maggie, Delia Carmen, Chris Matthew. Shout out for the sub train, the gift membership train. Wow, wow, wow. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of what's going on and what's happening for like this kind of stuff, I don't want to sit here and act as if social media plans are like the end of leftism, because they're not. I think in many ways I feel the way this way about TikTok, and we'll talk about the TikTok ban. Actually, it's probably a good time to start recording this. I think when it comes to the TikTok bans and stuff, you have to say that TikTok has a problem in terms of form. It makes many people feel as if they've done enough just by watching a TikTok video, and I don't think that that's the case. I think that what you need to be doing is educating yourself, caring about this, learning about this, engaging with what people are saying, and not just understanding, like, me saying things to you. That's not how your opinions should solely form. Yes, I know more about this than, like, people because I've studied it, but also form your own opinions, decide against me, understand it in different ways. And I think he should become a hardcore conservative. That's the grift that he should take on, 100%. That's the only grift. River1, we need to sort something out soon, but I'm currently going away for a little bit, but I'll see if I can work something out whilst I'm away. I don't know if we can, but yeah, it would be nice to do something again. I would have liked to, but I've just been so busy and I'm terrible at doing it. God, but just look at the paranoia, because ultimately, and maybe Hassan, in many ways you could make the argument, maybe you shouldn't capitulate on these things because these people don't care anyway. Because here's Randy Fine talking about what Jimmy Kimmel said, but then again, I operate within the terms and service and stuff.
Not just a business decision where they are necessarily getting complaints from some viewers. It is a business decision in what they need from the government, which is being very clear, the Trump administration, that they don't want Jimmy Kimmel on the air.
I think it's more than that. I think that we live in a world where a meaningful percentage of people now believe violence is legitimized, and they get it.
This is the guy who regularly tweets out about killing Palestinians and said something along the lines of, may the streets of Palestine, may the streets of Gaza run red with blood, or something to that effect. And just continually says heinous stuff. I'm only alleging that. Don't know what he exactly said. Sorry, but he's still a piece of shit. I don't care. Where are you going, can you say? Yeah, I'm going to Canada. I'm going to Montreal.
He didn't legitimize violence.
They didn't, but those comments blaming MAGA for the death of Charlie Kirk.
That's not what he did. Listen, I'm not here to defend
that's how I
interpreted
interpreted it.
But it's not what he said.
And, well, that's
being interpreted
I gasped when I heard last
incorrectly.
night, and I read it. I gasped when I read the comments.
Did you feel the same way when you heard it?
So, yeah, I mean, I did.
When you read it, it's literally impossible to act as if it's like, you know, this terrible heinous thing.
I don't think this is happening because he's criticized President Trump. No one has been criticized more, I think, in American history than President Trump. But belittling and making light of what happened to Charlie Kirk and who did it is, I think, very dangerous for all of us.
And when you...
who did it. Realistically, we still don't even really know why he did it, apart from hating Charlie Kirk. We don't know anything about, like, what radicalized him, like, or, like, what moved him towards doing that. We don't know anything about it, like, at all. Nothing. Not a single thing, realistically. We just know that he had a trans partner. And... but, like, yeah, this is a guy who calls for genocide, and you think that there should maybe be a little bit of pushback on that and say, like, oh, you're saying this thing. But yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. They've got someone to come on. They've got someone to come on. They've got Cardinal Timothy Dolan on Fox and Friends to say this.
About this guy. And the more I learned about him, I thought, this guy's a modern day St. Paul.
Oh shit, I never realised that St. Paul was a huge transphobe who hated black people. Is that like a big thing that St. Paul preached?
He was a missionary, he's an evangelist, he's a hero. He's one, I think, that knew what Jesus meant when he said the truth will set you free. And to do it, now, I understand he was pretty blunt and he was pretty direct. He didn't try to avoid any controversy. He didn't even try to avoid confrontation.
Jesus hung around with, like, prostitutes, people who had leprosy and all of these things. So this idea of, like, Charlie Kirk being like a loving understander of Jesus and Christianity's message, as proffered by people like Slavoj Žižek and Todd McGowan, is one of absolute radical love, not just pure hatred.
The difference is the way, the mode, the style that he did it, always with respect. And
do you think it was respectful when he was saying that Haitians are going to take over and make you subservient?
Not only was that a gracious, kind of virtuous thing to do, it's effective. Because when your opponents see, this guy kind of respects me. We kind of disagree here, but he kind of enjoys me. And he's thanking me for being here. And he's telling me he appreciates the trust I have in him in sharing my views. I thought, this guy can teach us something. I thought, I got
Maybe he'll teach you something about how to mix into the most racist anti-black politics along the lines of what you are, of what you believe. In terms of your Christianity. That's about the best thing he can do. My god. Sorry to just continue to reacting to this, but this never stops. It is unending.
Shame. And he should know better as a grown man in show business. People are acting like, you know, he's just some homeless guy screaming things on the corner. This guy is at ABC. When's the last time ABC tolerated much, let alone this?
Right. You know, I'm watching some of the liberal networks. I've never heard them care about the Constitution so much. Their First Amendment. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment. This has to do with the business decision, as you noted. And for all the concern about the First Amendment, I mean, they're apoplectic, Jesse. What about all the amendments that Charlie Kirk lost?
They should criminalize dying because it takes away your right to freedom as an American. Yeah, they hate homeless people. Of course they do. Just another person to blame. American society is collapsing under Trump. So what do? Accelerate the blaming of others for all of your problems. Create these shadowy networks of Hamas supporters, Antifa, trans people, all of these people destroying your society and descend into full-on Nazism.
Because Charlie Kirk has no amendments right now. None.
You're not wrong about that.
And the outrage I see over Jimmy Kimmel, I wish I would have seen that for the death of a father and a husband who should still be here.
Yeah, they got their priorities all out of whack. It's just a shame.
You're laughing. Charlie Kirk has lost his right to eat burgers and you're laughing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable, this reaction. This reaction of just people going, wait, Congress just passed a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk as a courageous American patriot who hated black people. Amazing stuff. Amazing scenes. Oh shit, people are talking about already. Guy Christensen, TikTok is removing content from their feeds that call out Zionist billionaire and Trump ally Larry Ellison for building a media monopoly. Ellison is reportedly poised to take control of the majority of TikTok.
Israeli food.
And this was removed by James Rayvold.
Is it real? To understand the appropriation of cuisine from Palestine and the Levant region, just look at the land grabbing happening today. Israel functions as a settler colonial outpost of U.S.-led imperialism. The nonstop U.S. military aid to Israel is one of the many manifestations of imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. Imperialism is why the U.S. creates forced migration, wages endless wars, has a terrible healthcare system, militarized police state, destroys the environment.
I should probably mute it because I don't know if this music is copyright. 72,000 plus migrants deported under second Trump administration. Trump ain't deported before. Jesus. I've got multiple strikes. Yeah, this must be... I think this must be an America thing because the only thing I've noted since Charlie Kirk got smoked is like I've had no videos taken down, and I don't think the UK will go down the same path. But interesting that you're saying that. I've heard American content creators saying it. I think that you guys are cooked, and I mean we'll talk about this shortly. I mean, it's mostly just now. Like, honestly, we read that quote yesterday. The elites of American society, there's going to be... Trump is not getting banned from any social media platforms. They are entirely behind this guy. He is going to do whatever he wants. But again, remember that all of this is just an entry point. That remember, you can do leftism without these people. There are books all around you available. Get reading and don't stop. Learn more about this. Learn how to convince people of your beliefs. Explain and teach people about what it means to reject this heinous administration. There's actually one video I meant to watch earlier.
Regarding Antifa, what you posted. NPR, sir. Regarding
Are they still here?
They are?
Are they still here? Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Regarding designating them a terrorist organization, when they don't have defined leadership or membership, how do you target them?
Who doesn't?
Antifa.
We're going to find out, right? We're going to see. People have been talking about it for a long time. We're going to see. Did they have anything to do with your network? Okay. Well, we're going to find out. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just straight up. You are ready. You are ready for fascism. Like, calling Trump a fascist preemptively maybe was wrong in the sense Trump hadn't descended into full-on fascism. But fascism is here, and this is what Trump represents.
President, you said earlier this week that the women who yelled at you, who were protesting when you were at Joe Stone Crab, should be in jail. Do you actually think that that is an offense that deserves jail time?
I don't know how they got in there, but certainly I thought it was very inappropriate. And they said things that were very, and it was a question of when you take a look at the way they acted, the way they behaved, yeah, I think they were a threat.
But that's the whole point. Anyone critical of Trump will now be Antifa. They'll all be designated for life imprisonment.
And you think that deserves jail?
You agree with it?
I think they're a nasty organization.
But you think they deserve jail?
Well,
Can you send the link to this? Of course I can. It's from Drop Site News. I'll pop the link in chat. Right. But yeah, I mean, worrying stuff. Now, let's check on Glenn Greenwald. So, I won't go through the whole article because I'm not sure I love reading through whole articles. I don't know about that, but yeah. Larry Ellison, the Oracle mega billionaire who has donated millions to the IOF, just had his kid buy Paramount CBS to have Hasbari Vice run. Is trying to buy CNN and now will buy TikTok with Andreessen Horowitz. Lucky break for Israel as its support collapses in the US. You can't close Pandora's box. Pandora's box is opened. I genuinely think that these people think that they are going to close off pro-Palestinian activism, but what they are so outdated around is that TikTok has done the damage already. TikTok has already caused your problems. You are cooked. You are cooked because the information is all out there. But look at this list of ownership. And by the way, Riverwand has a great video on Palantir and some of these organizations. So if you want to learn about it, but yeah, go check out my guy, Riverwand. I don't know if you're still here, bro, but shout out. If things go as planned, Larry Ellison and David Ellison will own Paramount, Warner Bros., Discovery, and TikTok US. That means control of Paramount/Paramount Skydance, CBS, MTV. They're going to ban MTV Cribs, and it's only going to be Israelis taking over your house and showing it off. There's just going to be videos of Israelis going, I have my new house in the West Bank that was promised to me thousands of years ago. Nickelodeon, they're going to turn off SpongeBob for being a Hamas Bob. Comedy Central, no more South Park because it's Hamas. Showtime, Antifa. Paramount Pictures, Antifa. Paramount Plus, Antifa. Pluto TV, Antifa. Channel 5 UK, definitely Antifa. Network 10, Australia. Network 10 Australia, Antifa. Telefe Argentina, Chile Vision, and more. Warner Bros. Discovery, New Line Cinema, Lord of the Rings, that will be designated Hamas now. Hamas propaganda. Warner Bros. Television, Hamas. DC Studios, Batman, he's Hamas. No, sorry, the Joker, Hamas. But the Joker is actually kind of Hamas in the Arkham games. I just searched Joker Hamas and it just says Joaquin Joker actor. Does the Joker... There's a Quora question which is Hamas to Palestine what Batman was to Gotham? There's actually there's so far no information about whether the Joker supports Hamas. I don't know. I'll have to look into this. I'm learning. But does that not potentially look like it could be a nod to Hamas with green? I don't know. His hair may be Hamas. The Superman movie came out and they decided to silence any shrewd or hopeful media on my life. You know what, though? One of the things that Todd McGowan often talks about, and I'm no expert on this because I'm no filmography expert, is that one of the things that used to make cinema more radical in terms of, like, how it would depict things would be because of the code and because of the limitations, people would find ingenious ways to move through it. So, for example, his example is how they'd show a sex scene. So they'd show, like, a door slamming in the wind and water, like heavy rain outside. And it's kind of in many ways more overtly sexual than showing like two people under the covers. HBO, Sopranos, Hamas. HBO Max, Game of Thrones, Hamas. Discovery Channel, Animals, Hamas. Food networks, don't show enough. On the Food Network, all you'll see is how to make Israeli couscous salad. HGTV, don't know anything. TLC, Tender Loving Care, Hamas. Animal Planet, Giraffes are Hamas. Cartoon Network, Fairly Odd Parents, Hamas. Adult Swim, Rick and Morty, Hamas. The episode where they made that joke about Israel will be pulled and taken down. CNN, Hamas. TBS, Hamas. TNT, is that the sports thing? Hamas. True TV, Hamas. Cole Palmer, Hamas. Eurosport, Hamas. Warner Bros. Games, Hamas. Everything, Hamas. Miss Rachel, Hamas. Anything, Hamas. Your whole world will just be beamed images of just Hamas, 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 Hamas. And if you don't accept it, you are shot. The most powerful short-form video platform in the country with full US data operations and community control will be owned by a family that supports Trump. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. But yes, Ethan Klein, time to talk about Hassan Piker. By the way, I do not imply that any of these individuals actually mentioned in these comments are actually affiliated in any way with Hamas. This is all a joke made for comic effect. I don't believe that anyone... Cole Palmer has no affiliation with Hamas. He is a brilliant football player. None of these people are actually affiliated with Hamas. In my capacity as a comedian, I am making a little joke. A little friendly joke towards a great and masterful football player. The most powerful one family that are Trump supporters. That means one group of people aligned politically could have unprecedented control over how we receive news, entertainment, and social media. I feel like already how we receive media is already very, very, very much controlled by a small amount of people. Just continuing capitalism, you know. And I think that this is worrying in that sense, but also we have to bear in mind that, yes, you know, this kind of stuff has been going on for many years. It is fearful to see, but doesn't, like, in my understanding, right, Oracle already controls US data of TikTok users. In 1983, 50 companies controlled 90% of the US media market. That number is down to 5. Amazing stuff. You know what will never be controlled by the mainstream media? All these damned families? The Chris Kunsley YouTube channel. That is why I need your memberships and your donations. We are going to fight back through your memberships and donations. Not only will we build the supercomputer built to send problematic things to the Israeli government in a joking manner, I will also use it to buy all of these things back and make an episode where the Joker is Hamas. Maybe. But I don't know. That means one group of people aligned. The danger is not just consolidation, it is the power to shape culture, silence voices, and influence democracy through information control. Yeah, yeah, I mean, that is the worry. But already information is so controlled. I think I kind of balk in the sense of already the way in which our media is controlled and stuff, and the way in which we are, like TikTok is and the internet is. We aren't actually living in this time where, like, we have freedom right now. Already, I mean, Riverwand will tell you this. Riverwand, you have, I don't know how big your TikTok is. How big is your TikTok? You have 160,000 followers, and on your platform, regularly videos just perform ridiculously poorly for, like, no real reason, you know? Like, no real explanation, and they've just been limited increasingly. Also, apparently I'm logged out of TikTok, which doesn't make sense. Oh, fuck. Maybe that's not good. I've been invited to post-campaign's webinar. When you wake up next to him in the middle of the night. Chris is forming a new party in the US, but first Canada. Oh yeah, we're going to be pulling pranks on the IOF thanks to your membership. Hell yeah. Like the other day when I accidentally showed that person's number. What? I did not mean to do this. Let's have a look how long this is, because I know the other article is insanely long because I've read all of it. Oh no, this article's not long. Fuck me. This, guys, I hope you realise what this is. This is the final ever stream with this PC. Yeah, and that's kind of the funny thing, Riverwand. When you're talking about, like, how your views are, like, worse, you probably have a similar, if not less, followers on Instagram. And I regularly notice this pattern. Like, on Instagram, I will have, like, problems. And generally, when I have a video go really viral, I tend to find that afterwards my videos are limited. But Instagram is moderated by Zionists. Like, we all know that there are open Zionists who've been moderating Meta for years, and yet somehow the algorithm is less punishing than TikTok. May the old PC rest in pieces. Yes. Chapel Roan, Hamas. Yes. Chapel Roan is not Hamas. This is a joke. A friendly joke. Please do not sue me or target me. These are all friendly jokes. Actually, I don't think you could be sued for making a friendly, nice little joke like this. God, apparently 70 people were massacred in Sudan today. Sorry to be off topic, but... Wow. Holy fucking shit. 78 people were killed in a singular drone strike on a mosque. This is done. I'm sorry for, like, kind of going off topic. I'm sorry for genuinely. I'm going to make a TikTok about this. Didn't actually have a plan to make a TikTok about this. Friday's attack in the city of El Fasher has been blamed on the paramilitary RSF, but the group has not taken responsibility. 78 died and 20 were injured. BBC authenticated around 30 bodies wrapped in shrouds. My God, this is done by a Western-backed ally. Let's have a look if there's a... Oh, sorry. Unbelievable. Just a heinous attack carried out by a US ally. President Donald Trump on Tuesday extended the deadline for ByteDance to divest TikTok's US business, which will be owned by an investor consortium that includes Oracle and Silver Lake, CNBC's David Faber reported. It's the fourth time Trump has extended the deadline. Xi Jinping, do not sell my TikTok. How would I see videos of Dean and Charlie Kirk edited and mashed together? How else would I see that kind of stuff? Does any other group... Yes, the Sudanese armed forces have drones. The Sudanese armed forces have Iranian and Chinese drones, but actually, I think that both of them get Chinese drones, because the UAE just sells Chinese drones to the RSF. How they get them there is so complex as well. It sucks how things in Africa are overlooked. Yes, and by the way, I wouldn't actually just blame this on people. What you have to understand about even the Palestinian cause, and like how people... understand this and how they talk about this. The Palestinian cause is also better understood in part because of the Palestinian national movement and the way in which they pushed out their media in English, the way in which the Palestinian national cause also involved Britain in the context of its creation, the way in which Palestinians were ruled by the British, and I guess an elite class rose up that knew how to communicate and deal with the British, and the fact that for the longest time Palestinians moved to the UN to kind of do their issue through non-state action, and so kind of in a sense, you kind of end up in a way... where, like, Palestine has always been this point as well of, like, saying, oh, this is the last bastion of Western civilization as opposed to the barbarous Arabs, who, if they overtake here, will overtake you. So Palestine will always be a more significant issue because of that to most Westerners. But yes, of course, what is happening there is so sad, and the fact that it is overlooked is unbelievable. Hi, I'm late. I was watching your Bad Hasbara episode. Marshall Ma, bitch. The US Secretary of Justice, Secretary Scott Bessent, revealed on Monday that a framework deal had been reached involving TikTok under the national security law, which would have come into effect on Wednesday. App operators like Apple and Google and internet service providers would be penalized for providing services to TikTok's US operations if a deal was not reached. Under the framework deal, about 80% of TikTok's US business would be owned by an investor consortium that includes Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. The Wall Street Journal on Tuesday reported, as part of the arrangement, existing US users would need to shift to a new app. Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping expected on Friday to discuss the terms of the TikTok-related deal that Secretary Scott Bessent revealed on Monday. The deal, which is expected to close in the next 30 to 45 days, includes new investors, existing ByteDance investors, and will include Oracle maintaining its cloud computing agreement with TikTok. CNBC's David Faber reported earlier on Tuesday. Bessent said Tuesday during Squawk Box that Bessent said Tuesday during CNBC's Squawk Box that Trump was willing to let TikTok go dark, which spurred China to agree to a deal. The Treasury Secretary said that the deal's commercial terms had already been finalized, in essence, since March or April, but China put the deal on hold following Trump's tough tariff and trade policies. We were able to reach a series of agreements, mostly for things we will not be doing in the future, that have no effect on our national security, Bessent said Tuesday. A senior White House official said in a statement, any details of this framework are purely speculation unless they are announced by the administration. I saw Al Jazeera posting about it.
Before there was TikTok, there was Douyin. Launched in 2016, the Chinese video sharing app now has more than 700 million users. Its early success led to the release of TikTok, the international version of the platform, which has 170 million users in the United States alone. US and Chinese officials say they're now on the cusp of a deal to allow the platform to continue operating in North America, despite a nationwide ban, and people in China have welcomed the news.
Because of this agreement, relations between the two countries can improve.
Sorry, it's my fucking PC.
And return to normal. I hope there will be more opportunities for exchange and communication.
You could listen to Adam Tooze talk about it. Adam Tooze has great stuff on China, and he was just there.
Negotiated during talks in Madrid this week, the agreement involves the app being transferred from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, to US-controlled ownership. The deal will reportedly be confirmed in a phone call between leaders Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. Many in China feel the US ban on TikTok is unfair.
There's actually a growing sense of national pride from people here of like, we have these great things in China that deserve to be enjoyed by a global audience. And so for people to get in the way of that is sort of a disservice to this innovation that's happening in China.
TikTok, Trump has repeatedly extended a self-imposed deadline to reach a deal. He's previously praised the app for helping him win over younger voters in the last US election. TikTok was banned by the Biden administration due to security concerns about US citizens' data being accessed by the Chinese government. Concerns experts say are valid.
Riverwand, can you organize a chat with Xi Jinping? Can you organize a chat and let him know? Please make TikTok's algorithm fairer to Chris Kunstler.
In China, there are a suite of national security laws that ensure that there's really no firewall between the data that Chinese tech firms have access to and the Chinese Communist Party, the state itself.
TikTok is blocked in China, and a deal won't affect Chinese users, but it will be seen as a stepping stone towards more stable ties with the White House and a possible end to the long-running trade war between the two sides. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Oh, God. I just mean, like, the things that are happening right now. Xi's warning to Trump against imposing further trade restrictions on China shows Beijing is willing to take a hard line in trade talks, according to Wendy Cutler. Trump says we will find out how to target Antifa. Okay, that's from earlier. Parent company thanks Trump efforts to reserve. Oh, so we've got the statement. Yeah, FaceTime with Xi. I will ask him when I'm there during our talks of communism. We thank President Xi Jinping and President Donald J. Trump for their efforts to preserve TikTok in the US. ByteDance will work in accordance with applicable laws to ensure TikTok remains available to American users through TikTok US. Please attribute to a ByteDance spokesperson. Global corporate. Do you think this is a mistake? I don't think that they were meant to put out, please attribute to a ByteDance spokesperson. TikTok's policy made the mistake of TikTok's policy accidentally posted this. Please attribute to a ByteDance spokesperson. Sorry for laughing in such testing times. But yeah, as I say, I don't think this should be the be-all and end-all of your leftism. I don't think TikTok should be the place where you get all your information from. I know it's a great app where you've found many creators, but let creators like me have influenced you into doing more and reading more and learning more. But yeah, like, as well, they'll frame it as... And also, I think once they have control of it, they'll probably just start banning people way more. Or just making their content, like, unreachable. Right, there's also this, which is just them talking about this.
His tragic death also ignited, I think, a spark for young... Charlie's tragic death also ignited, I think, a spark for young people, for all people in this country who are passionate about free speech, who are passionate about civil dialogue, and also faith. Charlie, of course, was a very outspoken proponent of standing in your faith. And so I think you're seeing just a general public response to people like Jimmy Kimmel, who tragically is spewing this dangerous rhetoric. All people who spew this...
What do you think was dangerous about what Jimmy Kimmel said? He made people too libbed out.
Dangerous rhetoric, who ultimately drove this deranged killer to take Charlie's life. And so I think it's a reflection of where the public is right now, having this revival of standing for your beliefs, standing for our First Amendment rights, and the importance of civil dialogue and the right to speak your mind in this country.
Okay, absolutely.
Charlie.
God, she's blaming Jimmy Kimmel. If Jimmy Kimmel has been more successful at than Hassan Piker or Bad Empanada to encourage action, someone said that they saw a pamphlet of Sri Akhanad Path Sahib in the loving memory of Baha'i Charlie Kirk. Sri Akhanad Path Sahib in loving memory of... Wow, amazing stuff. Pizza Langar will be served. The world is healing over Charlie Kirk's death, you know. So many people are being brought together. Even this party over in Sri Lanka, I assume. They won't show Jimmy's clip. Of course they won't show Jimmy's clip. Because Jimmy spoke truth to power. He was too powerful. Jimmy Kimmel really was subverting people's expectations. But yeah, very, 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 very worrying times. Very worrying times. I just think that, like, you shouldn't be like... Because capitalism has always been this way. And I keep always reiterating, don't sit here and portray that, like, the internet was like this bastion of free speech or something. That the internet wasn't already organized in such ways so as to prevent freedom of speech. But, like, ultimately... you know, this is still worrying, and I don't think we should just dismiss it, you know? I don't think we should dismiss any of this at all. I'm now accidentally playing myself rather than the video I meant to play. When you wake up next to him in the middle of... Oh, wait, there is one thing I wanted to watch. Actually, it's very long, so I probably won't. We've already covered this for a while, so let's do some slightly more fun stuff.
Torres on Adam
Friedland.
Friedland.
Yeah.
Adam Friedland. I love this kid.
Great.
Mark Ruffalo just loves Adam Friedland. Do you think he liked the Blue Chew Hamas comments?
I watched him on there. And I'm watching a guy who, like, I know he has a core.
Yeah.
Like, I know he suffered. I know he came up. But what happens to you is you get bought little by little, especially when you come up from nothing.
Yeah.
You really appreciate the people who help you. You're taught that. as an ethos.
You feel you can't break with them.
Yes, you internalize their narrative.
Yeah.
Because they were there when no one else was.
Yeah. Even if that means you end up apologizing for the killing and maiming of
yes,
children.
Yes, even if that means you apologize for the killing and
like
maiming.
a sociopath.
It is so hard to keep your moral integrity once you start taking the money. Once you make those little fudges, the distance it takes for you to return back.
Yeah, Adam Friedland is like 40, isn't he? How old is Adam Friedland? Yeah, Adam Friedland is actually pushing 40, which is amazing stuff. How old's Mark Ruffalo? Mark Ruffalo must nearly be 60, yeah. He's 20 years Adam's elder.
To your moral center is quadruple the distance you walked away from it. I just think it becomes very, very hard.
Yes. And we're seeing it in real time.
We're seeing it in real time. We need people to be grounded in their moral integrity right now. Because
like Hassan has. What do you mean a master volume plug? What is a master volume plug? I don't actually know what it is. I don't know how to do any of it.
Because that's where credibility is.
And history will judge us.
History is judging. History is judging us.
Zateo. Subscribe at Zateo. Thank you, big bro. I fuck with the Hulk. I'm 38. How old's Brace Belden? Brace Belden's 35. I mean, Hassan is really... Hassan's like 90, basically, in comparison to me. I'm 24. I'm the new age. Mark only wears Thursday boots after endorsement. Is Mark a zoo? What do you mean a zoo? A Zionist? No, Mark's not a Zionist at all. Mark Ruffalo's not a Zionist. No, he's spoken out about Palestine multiple times. I think he might be a bit libbed out on it, but he's still like someone who's spoken about it. I don't know if... So, the US vetoed again another ceasefire. Sorry, I'm just going to message Isabel and see if she's coming up. Busy. I think Isabel might be coming up, but I don't know.
To the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2025/583 please raise their hand.
I like how they just got now like a MAGA Barbie to go up.
Those against. There's no abstentions. The result of the voting is as follows. 14 votes in favor, 1 votes against, 0 abstentions.
It's also so funny because I genuinely do think that there are some European countries who would actually just also veto it, but you know, they just let the US do it for them because they know that the US is going to veto it. But like the veto was like an immediate release for the hostages, a permanent ceasefire. It's everything that the US claims it wants, but like there's nothing. There's nothing. Like there's no point to any of it. Like none of this will work whilst America can just continually block any kind of change, you know. Like, America's just going to prevent it happening. And then the same Zionists who claim, oh, actually, Hamas are the problem, are just ignoring that. Like, what do you mean? Like, just veto it. Well, it's not meaningless, but it's so clear that America and Israel are just the problem. America and Israel are the sole problem and the reason that we don't have peace in Palestine, and they have been since the Biden days. That's why they vetoed ceasefires then, and it's why they veto ceasefires now, because they don't want peace in Palestine. They want Israel to expel the Palestinians and continue with their genocide. Biden knew that Israel wanted to expel the Palestinians. Trump just let them accelerate it. Unbelievable. Sorry. So also there's like Hamas terrorists brazenly robbed 4 UNICEF aid trucks carrying baby formula at gunpoint. I don't believe that this is true. I do not believe that Hamas did this. I believe it was much more likely one of these armed gangs who wanted to sell stuff off. And by the way, saying, I'm only joking, I don't care. You are any age is welcome in my chat. I don't think that you're 90 years old. As President Xi and Putin were telling us the other day, 70 is young nowadays. The trucks were commandeered right outside of the UNICEF compound in Gaza City, a direct assault on humanitarian work. According to UNICEF, this violent theft has deprived 2,700 babies of the formula. While Israel allows the entry of vital baby food into Gaza, Hamas steals it in order to profit from it. Oh, this definitely happened. It just wasn't Hamas. This formula was meant to be distributed for free by UNICEF. Once again, Hamas proves that it has no interest in the well-being of people, only its own terror motives. This is the truth. Hamas does not safeguard the people of Gaza. It exploits them, abandons them. And the thing is we all know that Israel lies around this stuff. Israel is literally paying for fake adverts for you to believe that there's no starvation in Gaza. They send this stuff out. Israel, which controls 80% of Gaza City's land and dominates the rest of the sky with drones that never leave, was watching the incident unfold. Any documentation? No. Timing mentioned? No. Location specified? No. Details given? No. It's like, I mean, he makes really good points there, because where is the information? Like, Israel dominates the skies, and it has never proven any of the shit it claims about, like, mass Hamas theft. It is never, ever proven that hospitals are constantly used at military bases. Yes, military hospitals are constantly used as military bases. River One, shout out for the 5 subs, 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Pickles, Mahban, W River One's in chat now. So that what they're arguing is that Hamas steal and sell the aid is what they're saying, and then they use it to pay Hamas fighters so they can what, buy the really expensive aid, or what's going on there? It's just amazing. God. Also, by the way, I think that there is much to be said which you don't hear many people saying. Innocent hostage, mainstream media kept weeping about plans to rejoin Israel's genocidal army and partake in annihilating Gaza. Edan was so tortured by Hamas that he is fit for military service as soon as they release him, and didn't even need any rehabilitation time. Edan Alexander is now rejoining to go and commit war crimes in Gaza. The US captive? No way. No way. Hamas released Edan Alexander as a symbol of goodwill, and he is rejoining to go and kill and oppress Palestinians. Bro, I hope that the funniest thing happens. Just so insane. Like there are definitely civilians who were taken, and it does not justify taking a baby hostage, but Jesus Christ, some of these people are just killers. Who have no sympathy for their crimes. Is he the boy who was kidnapped from a tank? No, he was kidnapped from a base on October the 7th and then gets ready to go back and do it. Honestly, he just goes back to killing and oppressing Palestinians. Just so sick. Israel created a new proxy gang run by a fugitive murderer, drug dealer, fraudster and longtime collaborator Hussam Abdul Majid al-Astal. This gang is currently based in Khan Yunis as an extension of Israel's ISIS-linked Abu Shabab gang in Rafah. A resident of Gaza who a new force in eastern Khan Yunis against Hamas tell me, we are coordinated with Israel, calling on people to join us. Jesus Christ. Just more people to steal humanitarian aid so they can blame Hamas. Al-Astal is a disgraced member of the Palestinian Authority's security forces. He's responsible for the murder of Fadi al-Bach in Malaysia on behalf of Israel. He fled to Egypt and was apprehended there and deported to Gaza on 2022 on fraud and drug-related offences. He was detained in Gaza upon his deportation. Interrogations revealed he's been collaborating with Israel since 1996 and carried out a number of operations on their orders. His neighbour has corroborated his arrest in Egypt for drugs. Al-Astal was sentenced to death but fled prison after October the 7th, like Yasser Abu Shabab. Remarkably, Israel killed Al-Astal's son-in-law and 2 of his siblings. His next-door neighbours were the Sinwars. Yet he's still working for them and running this gang on their behalf. Wait, his next door neighbours was the Sinwars. Unbelievable. Oh, goodness me. Right, I think I've kind of... Okay, I don't know what to do now. I'm kind of tired, but... Actually, you know what? I don't know whether Isabel's gonna come, and I think I might just say, sorry, I'm so tired that, like, and it's past 11:20 when she said, after 11:20, but I don't know, I'm tired. These gangs are a lot less sophisticated than the Palestinian resistance. Of course they are, but also they have unequivocal backing and air support from Israel, so air support is such a big thing in wars, you know, like being able to just control the skies and prevent anything from happening, you know, like it's basically why Israel will always have dominance and will always be able to do this, because Israeli soldiers are just cowards who kill children constantly. They're not, you know, they're not like just and moral people. Is baby girl curled? Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I've streamed so much. I've been streaming like 5 hours this week. And at some point, I'm going to be moving over fully to this platform. Thank you for all the memberships, everyone who donated, everyone who supported. Have a lovely weekend. On Sunday, the new PC stream will be happening, unless there's big news tomorrow. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, the lovely stream. Thank you. See you all later. And at some point, I'm going to be moving over fully to this platform. Thank you for all the memberships, everyone who donated, everyone who supported. Have a lovely weekend. On Sunday, the new PC stream will be happening, unless there's big news tomorrow. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, the lovely stream. Thank you. See you all later.